So, in the comments of my last video, I got somebody who raised an interesting point to leave a comment. They say, yes, a man can't turn into a woman by magic, but you can take a wafer and it'll turn into a zombie Jew, which I think is really funny. That string of words, zombie Jew, is hilarious. I know he's trying to do a mockery, but it's funny. A zombie Jew from 2,000 years ago, and you'll eat his flesh. By magic. Funny how that works. Now, this person is attacking a particular theological doctrine. It's popular in Catholicism. It's popular in Eastern Orthodoxy. Protestants sometimes dispute it. Lutherans won't dispute it because Luther he supported this doctrine. But transubstantiation is not some silly like trans thing. For once, it's not some silly trans species, transgender nonsense. It's actually a serious theological point of discussion because transubstantiation, it's hard to even say that word, okay, refers to the theological doctrine that in the Last Supper, and if you're not familiar with what that is, I'm going to give you the quick rundown I have here. Luke 22. This is found, I'm pretty sure, in all four Gospels, but this is the one that I have pulled up here from Luke 22, verse 19, and he says, "And he took bread, gave thanks and broke it, and then gave it to them, saying, This is my body given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." So that was when he was about to be betrayed, and he was about to go be sentenced to death. And we made a whole video about that, but, that was before, and this was his last meal, and he's saying, this is my body, this is my blood. He does that with the wine, and now there's dispute on the phrase, "do this in remembrance of me," because some people are saying, oh, this is supposed to be symbolic of his last meal, this is supposed to be symbolic of him, stuff like that. But the Catholics and some other groups take that actually literally and think that he does that when you take communion in the church and mass, that you actually are consuming the flesh and blood of Christ, because it turns into that. Hence the term transubstantiation, because it changes substance. The bread actually changes into his flesh, even though that you can't see that. Now, my personal stance on this is, I don't know. I understand that in Catholic circles, I am supposed to think that it's true, but honestly, if you want my real opinion, I don't know. I'm not here to talk about my opinion and what I think about this theological issue. I'm here to do a comparison with transgenderism, because the original comment is suggesting that this is comparable to transgenderism. Now, there's one key distinction in this whole thing, and that's the doctrine of Christ's divinity, okay? If Christ was actually serious and being 100% literal about it being his flesh and blood and stuff like that, he could do that. He is God. He is able to make decrees like that. He is able to say stuff like that. Now, I understand that raises a whole host of theological questions which are beyond the scope of this video, like how does God become human and stuff like that. Which, this isn't really a theology channel, so I don't know if I'll ever get to those, but maybe people actually are asking and genuinely curious on explaining Christian concepts. But here's the thing, okay? For what you need to worry about now is, if you're going to criticize transubstantiation, you're going to mock it, you have to actually take the whole worldview into account. And if you're going to criticize Christianity, you have to contend with Christ's divinity. And if Christ is God, which we believe he is, he can say stuff like that. He has the power to make the bread and wine transubstantiate. He has that power. We do not. He has the power to change reality. A man saying he is a woman cannot be By definition, it just doesn't work because we do not have the ability to change reality just by words. Like I said in the first video, transgenderism only survives off of word games and redefining words and trying to erase core distinctions, like the whole gender thing. They're going to say, oh, gender is whatever you want it to be. So then I'm going to say, okay, how is this better than the traditional understanding? Because what you end up doing is you end up saying, if gender is whatever I want it to be, then I can be cat gender, dog gender, etc. I've gone through this argument several times, but the key distinction between transgenderism and transubstantiation is that this is God in a divine act happening, and God has the full power to do those kinds of things. God can change reality with his works, with his words. We cannot. And so it is an absurd comparison to compare transubstantiation with transgenderism, because again, we just do not have that kind of power that our words will just change reality. A guy saying that he's a girl won't just make him a girl. It just won't happen. So I hope that clears up your question or your points. I'm not sure what his name is. What is his name?
At tomato or 9xs link heading.
At tomato something. I hope that clears up your objection that you raised.